Thank you for joining me in another episode of Amy's Haunted History. Today we'll be exploring the Tower of London, which was built by William the Conqueror in 1066. It houses the royal mint and the crown jewels. The tower took 20 years to build. The tower was expanded by Henry III and Edward I. The tower was used to protect kings and queens, and their arms and armors were made and tested there and stored until 1800s. The tower has had many deaths. Henry VI was murdered in 1471. Later, the children of his rival, Edward IV, disappeared. In 1674, two skeletons were unearthed in the tower. When examined, it was determined they were 10 and 12, the same ages as the young princes were when they disappeared. Some of the gruesome history of the tower include King Henry VIII. He met Anne Boleyn in 1533. They were married, and just 3 years later, she was found guilty of adultery and treason and was beheaded in the tower. For over 800 years, men and women arrived at the tower uncertain of their fate. Some stayed days, others stayed years. Even in the 20th century, German spies were brought to the tower and shot. Some of the tower's ghosts include that of Anne Boleyn. Her ghost is said to haunt the site of her execution on the Tower Green. Arabella Stuart was starved to death for getting married without royal permission and is said to wander the Queen's house to this day. Guy Fawkes wanted to assassinate James I in 1605, and he was imprisoned and tortured to death in the White Tower dungeons. People report hearing his screams. Sir Walter Raleigh spent over 13 years in the Bloody Tower, at which time he attempted suicide before being beheaded in 1603. People report hearing screams and footsteps. I don't know why they had to behead people back then. It must have been terrifying, just like having your head lay on that block, knowing it was just going to be... Why couldn't they just put you to sleep or shoot you? I don't understand. I think it's pretty brutal. But anyway, the Tower of London is still one of the world's leading tourist attractions. It is home to the yeomen, wardens, and their families, the resident governor, and many guards. Whether you believe it or not, whether you believe the tower is this old, could be haunted or not, it is so full of bloodshed, it may contain a few restless spirits. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys again for joining me on another episode of Amy's Haunted History. Our next episode will feature Warwick Castle, which is located in England. We'll see you guys then.